Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Reselling Rhythms. I'm your host, Adam, with Adam's Exploits. Today, we're going to be discussing best offers and eBay. Do they work? How do they work? What I'm going to try to do for you guys is Casey Paris, the Rockstar Flipper, is a friend of mine, and Casey has made a ton of videos, especially for beginners, the intermediate sellers. And he has videos on best offers. So we're going to discuss that. I was also fortunate enough to get a reselling friend of mine who's just recently became a full-time reseller, but he's been doing this for quite some time. And he went full-time, and he's going to be sharing some of his insights about reselling. Jason, Thrift Trader. So I want to just let the chat fill in a little bit, say hello to a few people, and then we'll get started. Like I said, this is the first time I'm actually doing a video, playing a video. So hopefully it'll work. If not, I've watched this video a half dozen times where Casey explains how he does best offers and what he feels is the best procedures and processes. So I see Kathleen's here and Donna's here. Donna, half of your sales are through best offers. Okay, it came up in the last show when I don't know if you saw the last show, but I was doing how to run a promotion and how to run or sale basically, or how to do promoted listings. And it came up in the chat. That a lot of people do best offers and they sell at the lowest price that they're willing to accept, and then they, we're close to it, and then they do best offers. So we're filling in now. I see Michelle is here also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our guest, and then have him, just tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll try to see if I can pull up Casey's video for you guys, and we'll watch that. It's like 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll get back into discussing. Basically general reselling and best offers, what your guys' opinions are. Whereas, like Donna says, she does very well best offers. So we shall see. So let me unpresent myself and get Mr. Jason on here. We'll go to Mr. Jason, present to everyone, and he should be up. Jason, the Thrift Trader, is up.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it very much. My name is Jason. I'm also known as Thrift Trader. I've been a reseller for 10 years. Just recently went full-time January 1st, and it's been a wild ride. The first half of the month's been amazing. I sell on eBay, Amazon, and Poshmark, and really, reselling is all about taking your life back. At the end of the day, even if you're doing this part-time, the thing is reselling has to be a passion for it to work out. So I really enjoy it. It's something that I absolutely love to do.
Okay, so we'll come back to Jason. Like I said, I want to see if we can play Casey's video, see if the YouTube gods will cooperate, and see if we can play that. And then we'll come back and we'll discuss best offers, and we'll discuss what you guys in the chat, what you guys do, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let me go back to me, presenting to everyone, and then we're going to try to get this up. Oh, I don't want that. Okay, let's see. All right. All right, and here is the video. So we're going to present that to everyone, and then we should be up shortly here. Okay. Bear with me, folks. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you'll be able to hear Mr. Casey, the Rockstar Flipper.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Casey, the Rockstar Flipper. Today is March the 7th. It's now March the 8th, actually. It's after midnight. We're in 2016, of course. And a lot of people in my Facebook groups and on Facebook and social media have been asking me, how can they increase sales on eBay? They have hundreds of items in their eBay store. They want to increase sales. They want to sell more of it. They want to move it. A lot of it's just kind of sitting. And without, reducing your prices to a ridiculously low amount to where you're not really making any profit, are there other ways to drive sales? And so that's what I want to talk about with you guys today is how to drive sales on your eBay account. And this kind of works for Amazon a little bit, but this is more geared towards eBay. So for those of you that use eBay, this is for you. And for everybody using Amazon, you can kind of get some ideas out of this, but again, it's more targeting eBay. So I came up with the top 10 things I could.
Okay, guys, that was the actually the wrong video. I had this one of the other videos I was watching on Casey. Let me pull up the right one for you guys. I have it down here. Best laid plans of mice and men. Okay. Let me pull that up for you guys. That's the one.
Hey guys, hey everybody, how you doing? One of the questions I get asked a lot about eBay is for sellers that offer best offer. How do you know when to take a best offer, when not to take a best offer? How do you know what price you should accept the best offer at, et cetera, things of that nature. So I kind of want to address that, and I want to address it in two parts. Number one is how do you know when to take a best offer, when not to take it, whether you're being lowballed or whether you're at a price that is acceptable for you. That all is based on what you paid for the item and what you're willing to accept as far as profit or net sale price goes. If you bought an item for say, I don't know, $2 or $3, and you list it for let's say $30, and somebody makes you an offer of 15, is that a good offer or is that a bad offer? It's probably a lowball offer. It's half of what you're asking. Anytime I see an offer that's half of my price or less, typically not an offer I want to accept. But if it's something you've had for quite a while, you haven't been able to sell it or move it, you only paid $2 for it maybe, and you have an offer to sell it right now for 15, that might not be so bad. If it's something you just posted, probably not something you want to take. But if it's something you've had a while, you need to get rid of it. $15, even after your fees, if you're offering free shipping or not, you're still going to, make a few bucks on it. So it might be something you want to move out. It may not be the ideal situation, but for moving inventory, best offer is absolutely a good way to go. And as long as it's a reasonable offer, if they'd offer you $5 on something, then no, of course you don't want to take that. Now, if we change that scenario to, let's say you have $2 or $3 into an item and you list it for 100 because it's a really good item, you just got a great deal on it, and somebody offers $15, well, you probably want to turn that down every single time. You don't want to, sell yourself short. You don't want to give stuff away. You don't want to accept offers that are just unreasonable and just at a point that it doesn't make sense to sell. Even if you can make a profit on it and you can make money, if the item is worth far more than the offer you're getting, don't just accept an offer to get a sale. I see a lot of people who jump on that. Oh, I can sell an item. I can make my sales higher today just because I'm accepting an offer, even though they're shorting themselves on the sell price. So just don't do that, guys. My second part of this is how do you know when to accept an offer as far as timing? So a lot of people will post an item, a couple hours go by. Let's say they put it up for $50. Somebody offers 35 and they're into it for, let's just say $5. So there's a good profit to be made. It's a quick sale, quick flip, and somebody's made the offer. I typically will let that go. I'll let that offer just ride. Remember, you get 48 hours. If somebody's made an offer on it that quickly, especially on newly posted items, probably a good chance it's a popular item. You probably priced it right. You probably keyworded it right. And it's in your best interest to wait it out and see if other people are going to offer. If in the next 48 hours you don't get a better offer or any offers, then by all means, feel welcome and feel free to take that offer or even counter them at maybe $5 more. Because if they made an offer that quickly, then it means they probably really want the item as well. And paying the difference in a few more dollars is probably not going to kill them. This also reverts back to my video from probably several months ago about best offers. And one of the things I love to do is write in the message box when you respond with a counter offer, if you're going to counter it, that you really appreciate their offer. Thank you so much for taking the time. You really wanted 50. You understand they offered 35. Can we meet at 40 or 42 or 45 or whatever it is you're going to counter them at? And tell them that you'd really love to make a deal. You appreciate their time and you look forward to hearing back from them. And I can tell you more times than not, you will make the sale. Like literally being nice, killing them with kindness in the message box during a counter offer goes a million miles and more. 9 out of 10 times I get them to accept a counter offer. It's very rare that people decline my counter offers as long as it's reasonable and it's, the item's worth it. So take those points and that advice into mind the next time you have offers up for a counter offer and you're trying to decide whether you should counter them, whether you should accept it, whether you should decline it, and how quickly you should accept it. So don't just jump the gun and press the button just because you're excited to make a sale. Make sure you get the most out of your items, guys. One of the quickest ways to increase your sales and increase your profit is to make sure you're getting every dollar out of every item that you can. Hope this helped you guys out. If it did, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more future advice on eBay Amazon, and online reselling. And I'll see you guys next time with another video. Thanks as always for checking me out, and have a wonderful day.
Okay, so that was Mr. Casey, the Rockstar Flipper. Let me just pull this up for you guys, and we'll stop sharing. Okay. Let's see. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Of course, now it doesn't want to stop sharing. Okay. Oh, we are back. Okay. Let me get Mr. Jason up, and we'll discuss this. And we'll go to, let's see. All right, there's Mr. Bobbin Coffee Maker, Jason the Thrift Trader. I don't know if you had seen Casey's video before. I know we had discussed a little bit prior to going live about best offers. What's your philosophy as far as best offers, running sales promotions, running sales, promoted listings, etc.?
Sure. I honestly think that best offer is a very good, useful tool for making consistent sales. Typically, I'll toggle my best offers on and off. Like some days, like if sales are running pretty well, I'll actually take best offer off of all of my listings. I'll run for 2-3 weeks without best offer. I have a strategy that's different than most, though, because on my listings, my price is actually decreasing every single day. So I decrease the prices of my listings by 1% every day of the previous day's price. And the reason why I do that is because then I can start the listing at the top of the market, and the price over time will decrease, giving any watchers or anybody that might be interested in my item a chance to buy it at their price point. But if sales start to slow down or whatever, I'll enable best offer and I'll leave it on for 2 weeks, a month and a half. I mean, it just depends, really. And what that does, what I've noticed is when you enable best offer after not having it on for a while, you'll get a flood of sales for the first few days, or a flood of offers. And you can use that to your advantage, because at that point, you're going to be making a considerable amount more of sales for the first few days. And I see a lot of times with best offer that people will try to lowball you around the 50%, maybe 40% range of what your asking price is. And what I typically do is I try not to really accept any offers unless it's about 80%, 75, 80% of what my asking price is. So I'll usually counter at that, and I might go $1 or $2 lower with any other counter offers that are that come through. So it's a good tool, and it gives, a lot of people on eBay like to haggle. That's just part of eBay. It's part of reselling. A lot of people enjoy that aspect of eBay, and if it's available, that's going to attract another set of buyers, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you use any of the settings, the auto decline or auto accept, and how do you determine? Do you always respond to an offer?
No, I don't use the auto decline, only because it gives me the opportunity to send a message with an offer, and at that point, in that message, I could explain why I can't take any less than this at the time. Usually, for me, like shoes are like $8, $9 in shipping. Of course, I charge for shipping, but for instance, like clothing. Okay, so the clothing that I sell, mostly it's free shipping. So I got an offer earlier today for a thick, heavy wool pea coat. I think it's priced at $40 right now, and they offered somewhere around $20, $25 for it. and I countered with a $30 counter offer, and I told them that that's really the best that I could do at the moment because the item is thick and it's heavy, and it's going to take a little bit to ship it. And because since there was free shipping, still the counter is on the table. They haven't accepted it yet, but it gave me the opportunity to explain why I couldn't take any less than the counter offer that I sent them.
Okay, well, that kind of brings up something else you had discussed on your show last night, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, how you're doing a show on Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. But you did bring up about pirate ship. Now, I figured I'm always a fan of pirate ship. I always try to learn more about pirate ship and the cubic shipping. Then you said it was a heavy P coat. So would that require something that you would do with pirate ship? Would you do a bag in a box or a box in a bag, or how would you ship that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yes, it would be, because anything with pirate ship, anything that is bigger than a priority mail padded flat rate envelope, you're going to see cost savings there. Okay. So with pirate ship, anything that has to go in a box, essentially, you're going to have savings. So this particular item, I wouldn't ship it regional box or flat, like a priority mail, flat rate box, like medium or large flat rate. I wouldn't do that because honestly, cubic based pricing is going to give you the best bang for your buck, and regional and flat rate boxes are not really that good unless it's going over 1,400 miles away. If your buyer lives over 1,400, I think it's zone 7 and zone 8 are the only two zones that medium and large flat rate boxes actually give you the edge. So in this case, I'd probably put it in a priority mail shoebox, just roll it up and put it in a shoebox, or use another USPS priority mail box that is not regional or flat rate to ship it. And I would get cubic based pricing on that. Yes.
Now, would you ship that in the box, or would you put that poly bag over that?
It's going to be likely. Well, it depends. Here's the thing. Like, for instance, like the shoes that I sell, since it's used shoes, and if they're sneakers or there's something about the shoes that I'm not too concerned about, sending in a poly bag, that's the best option for shoes. I wouldn't suggest that with new shoes, but I also wouldn't suggest that for like shoes that somebody pays $50 for. I mean, you might as well send them in a box, in a shoe box. But for this particular item, I think it's too big for a poly bag, honestly. As far as like once it's folded up, it's just too big. So it'd have to go in a box. Right. And I haven't tried the box in a bag. It's available and it does save money, but I just haven't seen a purpose for it yet.
Okay, now what was I think Scott had brought it up last night. What's it, 18 inches is the maximum of any length width that you can use with the box in a bag?
18 inches is the maximum you can use for any cubic based rates. Otherwise, that has to go by weight.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can get back to what's up issues with this here. Sharing you and okay, so it should go back and forth. I'm hoping. Okay, so again, what about running promoted listings or running sales? Do you do those?
Yeah, as far as promoted, all of my listings are promoted at a flat 5% rate. And last time I looked, I was selling about 40% of my 40% of my sales were coming from promoted listings. So it's definitely something that I'm going to continue doing, and it's definitely helped me out.
Now you say you don't really run a sale, I guess, because you say you reduce everything 1% every day, so you wouldn't be really running a sale per se.
Right. I don't run a sale. I use a third-party application called Price Spectre, and what it does is it automatically decreases my price by 1% every single day, and because I do that, all I do is I just promote that in my listing description. And typically what happens is I'll gain watchers over time people that are interested in the item, just kind of waiting for it to hit their price point. And because I also have best offer on, it gives them the opportunity to offer me a price instead of waiting for it to drop too.
Now with watchers, I'm not that familiar with. I know they have the new, well, I guess was in the spring or summer update. They started where you can send offers to watchers. Do you get involved at all in that?
I haven't yet. I've been kind of thinking about implementing that. I've been asking around to see if it's really worth people's time, and I get mixed reviews. I get people that are telling me that it hasn't done much for me, and I get other people that are like, it's phenomenal. So I think it's going to be one of those things where I'm just going to have to try for myself to find out.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to, like I tell people, I'm not an expert in anything. I just have 30 years of retail and wholesale sales experience, degree in business, and I'm trying to learn like everybody else. So I'm just trying to provide a forum where people can feel comfortable and come to the group and discuss things, come to my page and discuss things, and not be I know with your group is very accepting as well. So I'd like to get into that a little bit too, and towards the end here. But okay, so you do promoted listings. Now, why 5%? That's something I was in a quandary about. I know Casey says he typically does. When I say Casey, guys, if you don't know who Casey is, that's Casey the Rockstar Flipper. Hi, Tanya. And he typically runs, I believe, 1 or 2%. Now, whenever I run promotions, but I was going to bring it up because I talked about promoted listings a couple weeks ago, and I had added a couple things that expire listings, and when I sell similar, I wanted to add them to my promoted listings. And even though I had 1% on everything, it defaulted to their recommended rate. So good thing I checked it because it was like 9%. So I've been paying like 20% on an item, which is crazy. But did you experiment? How did you come up with the 5% number?
I did a little bit of trial and error. I started at 7%, and I just felt like I was giving too much at that point. So I dropped it down to 5%, and I liked the results. I was running, like I said, about 40% of my sales are coming from promoted listings at the 5% rate. And then for about a month and a half, 2 months, I actually dropped it down to 1% and 2%. And I just saw a pretty consistent decline in sales coming from promoted listings. So at that point, I decided to just go back to the 5% because, at the end of the day, it's really what this is all about is really making sales. And if it costs us an extra 5% in fees to make that sale, you got to look at your profit margins. You got to look at, if you're averaging 50% profit margins, but you're increasing your sales by 40%, taking a 45% profit margin is a pretty good deal for 40% increase in sales.
Sure. Now, Mike Roland Picker had a question. He said, what was the program that drops your price? What program are you using to do that to 1%? What's it called?
It's called Price Spectre, PRICESPECTRE.
Okay, can you type that in the chat possibly?
Sure. Okay. Sure, not a problem. And so yeah, it's a pretty nifty tool. The thing is like it took me a little bit to figure it out. It actually took me close to half a day. Excuse me, to get it all set up because it's like a formula based system is what it is. And my best advice to anyone that's thinking about using it is try it on one listing, because the last thing you want to do is get involved in this thing and for some reason you wake up tomorrow and all your listings are like, literally pennies of what they were. So try it on one listing, get the formula right, try it on one listing, and once you get the formula right, you can apply it towards your entire store. Now, here's the thing, like I only suggest using that with like clothing, shoes, and accessories, things that aren't, of high value. Okay. If you're dealing in antiques, collectibles, knickknacks, things of that sort, I wouldn't suggest this type of system only because with those kind of items, you're waiting for a particular buyer to show up. With clothing, it's so abundant that I don't feel like there's any there's no rhyme or reason. Like when people say, well, just the right buyer hasn't shown up to buy it. Well, I think that's a little rubbish with clothing, in my opinion, because it's so abundant that unless it's like a highly sought after collectible item, clothing, there's no such thing as waiting for the right buyer, in my opinion.
Yeah, everybody has different opinions. I like what you said. I've heard that some other sellers say that I'm waiting for the right buyer. I'm not going to drop my price, and if they want it, they'll pay the price. And then other things like I have a lot of women's jeans when I first got in the business because I was watching, Lindy Glenn and Prof Sales, and they said, oh, it's easy to get jeans. You get them for $1, $2, and they flip fast. And well, I'm sitting on about 80 or 90 pairs of jeans. I mean, I've sold a couple hundred pair over the last couple of years. But, I'm sitting on about 80 or 90 pair of jeans. That's a lot of women's jeans. Not a lot of money, but it's a lot of women's jeans. So, like I said, I'm trying to mix up my selection. Some of the ladies in the chat, I told you earlier when we were discussing before the show how I'm trying to switch things up a little bit. And I think I had mentioned that some ladies in our chat are jewelry sellers, and some of the men's, like Mike, sells jewelry as well. Jason, I want to come back to you in 1 second. But, Mike, since you're here, I want to show you something. We discussed this several chats ago, and when I had Tanya on last time, she and I were just rolling, and I forgot to bring that up. But Mike, I wanted to bring this up to show you real fast, and then we'll come back to Jason, and we'll just discuss a little bit more about eBay and some tips and tricks. And hi, Bianca. I just want to show you guys this. See if I can pull this up real fast. Let's see. So many screens here. Okay, here it is. All right, let me just do a screen share for you. All right. Okay, Mike, this should be coming up shortly if it's not up already. We had discussed about the promoted listings, like I said, when I did it a few weeks ago. What I did was I contacted eBay concierge service. I was going to bring that up with Jason as well. That's another story I have about Jason. But anyway, this was a response from eBay's concierge service. What it is if you're a top-rated seller, you don't have to be top-rated seller plus. Mike, when I discussed with you, I wasn't sure if it was top-rated seller plus, or they had discontinued it. But what it is, if you're a top-rated seller, you do get the promoted listing credit. And you also get credits if you're an Anchor or an Enterprise store. Now, I'm just a basic store, so I wouldn't get the Anchor or the Enterprise credit. But what it is here, it says you're eligible to receive up to $25 quarterly credit towards promoted listings. Top-rated sellers, and you don't even have to have a store for that, are eligible to receive up to $30 quarterly credit on promoted listing. Again, that's when your item sells, you pay that promoted listing fee, and then you would get credited back. And again, anything with eBay, I would always check to make sure your invoice is correct, because I know Casey, the Rockstar Flipper, brought up there were some issues with the insertion fees that are out of line. I think that Tanya brought that up in our last video about that. There were some issues with eBay fees. But Mike, I wanted to bring it up while you're in the chat, so I didn't forget to mention that. So let me go back to where we were here, and we'll come back to Jason. Just give me 1 second here. And we'll stop doing screen sharing, and we'll pull up my chat. Okay, so so we discussed your business philosophy as far as eBay. Now you had mentioned you sell on several other platforms in your introduction. You said you sell, I believe you said what, on Poshmark?
Yeah, I sell on Poshmark, and I also sell on Amazon.
Okay. What do you sell on Amazon? Are you back ungated on a lot of things, or you just recently started selling, or how is that working for you?
It just depends really on what it is. I sell a lot of used books on Amazon, and I also sell toys, electronics, video games. Really anything I can get my hands on that has a pretty low sales rank and I'm not ungated in.
Okay, now do you use any of these pricing services? Do you use Profit Bandit? Do you the seller app? How do you use for Amazon?
Sure. Yeah, I've got a couple of apps on my phone that I use. I use Profit Bandit for pretty much anything except for books, and I use Scout IQ for books. Right. I also have a little scanner, a handheld scanner, Bluetooth scanner that scans barcodes.
And which one do you use?
You know what?
One of them, I believe.
I don't have it with me.
It's not a
But
problem. I just thought I ask occasionally about book scanning, and I know Jason Prof Sales is pretty much 100% in the book selling now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean it's good money. Being a bookseller is good money. You know, as long as you pay attention to the sales rank when you're buying those books and you get them at a good price, you can literally send them to Amazon and they just sell when they sell.
Now, do you use it like a pricing service to reprice that? I mean, I think that's important too, because I know Jamie Pace is in Casey's groups. He's a pro as well. But I guess that you really have to have like a pricing service if you want to be competitive with the book selling.
You know, not at first. You don't really have to. I mean, personally, I don't right now. But I'm pretty certain that once I get to the level of where I just can't sit around all day and reprice my items, I'll definitely look into getting a repricing service. I know that Amazon has one built in, and that's something that I'm looking at right now as well.
How does that work? Is that just a fee, or how does that work with the repricing service with Amazon?
You know, I haven't looked into it that deep. I don't know if it costs money, but I do know that they will reprice it. They'll keep your items at the lowest price, and then you can also set a floor price as well on that.
Okay. And I think you said what are you about 50-60% shoes? Is that what it said before your sales, or is it higher? Your sales?
Oh no. Well, okay. So this past year, I really put a lot of focus on shoes because I've been doing clothing all along for like 9 years, and I put a lot of focus on shoes because at my Goodwill bins, I get shoes for $2.25, and I find pretty good brands. And so because of that, I'm putting a lot of focus on shoes. I'm actually trying to build my eBay store up to 1,000 active shoe listings. And right now I'm sitting at about 350 active shoe listings. And I would say 80% of my eBay store right now is shoes.
Wow. That's tremendous. And you said that they have a flat fee at your bins. And for you people that don't know, it looks like we have most experienced sellers right now. But if anyone's watching the replay, bins is basically the discount outlet of Goodwill, where you typically pay by the pound. You're saying you're paying per item on shoes. Is that how your bins?
Yeah, the clothing and the houseware stuff is all by the pound, but shoes are per pair. Kids shoes are like $1.25 a pair, and adult shoes are $2.25 a pair.
Okay, and that's kind of unusual for the bins. That typically isn't it by weight, or is they starting to do that now?
I guess. Well, see, every Goodwill as an industry is split up into
different
regions, and the general managers of each region have the opportunity to price items however they see fit. So like my bins, that's just how they have it set up. It's probably set up the same way in other parts of the country, but I've heard of Goodwills having shoes by the pound as well, but that's just not the case here.
Okay. Now, when I was speaking with Tanya last week, she had mentioned Macquarie. That was one of her new favorite platforms. Have you dabbled at all with Macquarie?
I have in the past. Macquarie used to be kind of the Wild West, similar to like the Wild West of eBay, where I was actually buying stuff from China, like cell phone accessories, and selling them on Mercari. And I would just sit there day in, day out, just reposting the same thing over and over and over again and generating sales that way. I've actually got a fairly established account on Mercari, but I haven't found the time to really utilize it in my day-to-day business now, only because the way Mercari works is once you list it, the only way that you can refresh it in the feed is if you either end the item and relist it, which is just doing all the work over again, or you drop your price by 10%. And I just haven't found a sense of urgency to take the time out of my day right now to cross post to that platform. I just haven't yet.
Now, what drives sales on Macquarie? I guess that's some kind of algorithm like they have with Cassini with eBay. So I guess if you're not And if you're listing it and forgetting it, you're not really getting new listings. So you have to constantly be listing basically on Mercari.
The way Mercari works is you list it, and then it's, you know, at the top of search. Well, of course, it's gonna show up in the feed once, and then like if anybody searches for that particular item or searches particular keywords that you have in your listing, it'll show up. But the longer it's listed, the lower down in the rank in the search results you'll be. And the only way to get those boosted back up to the top of the search results is either to end that item and relist it, or to drop your item by 10%. That's how you promote your listing, is by lowering it by 10%.
Okay, what are the fees typically on Mercari? Are they more reasonable, or are they about the same as eBay, or what?
You know, it's been a while since I've even looked at Mercari. I want to, if I remember correctly, I think it's 10%. So it's yeah, I think it's 10%.
Okay, and is there a one-time insertion fee? I think somebody was telling me there's like, what, it's for 4 months, I believe. Is that correct?
I don't even know if there is an insertion fee.
Okay, I could be wrong. I got like some of these platforms confused because I mean, they're Etsy. I mean, know how Poshmark works. We know how eBay works. We know how Amazon works. But then Mercari and Etsy and some of these other platforms, I'm not really that familiar with them. Now, again, you said you're selling Poshmark now. I know you said you cross-post. I guess you cross-post all your shoes, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I cross-post all of my shoes and clothing on Poshmark. The key to Poshmark success is really hiring somebody to self-share your item. Always, you know, on your down times and stuff, you want to be following people, following new people to Poshmark, and also following Posh ambassadors, and in hopes that they follow you back, just kind of gaining a following. But the real key to Poshmark is hiring a virtual assistant or someone to always be sharing your closet. And if you do that, you know, eventually, you know, you'll start making the sales. Now, I have had some success, you know, not sharing at all and just simply having it up. But the longer it's listed, it's similar to Mercari at that point. The longer it's listed, the further down in the search results you'll go. And the only way to get it another boost is to share that item.
Okay. Do you use a virtual assistant from other procedure? You have somebody that's local to use, or how did you determine how you?
I do use a virtual assistant. He's from Alaska, and
cool.
he has a system that he uses. He's got several clients, and it actually cost me $55 a week to use him. But considering I'm selling around 10 to 15 pair of shoes right now on Poshmark weekly, it's a pretty good deal. I'm okay with that.
Okay. And I know there's some groups they do like the sharing circles. Some of the other channels. I know I had Alma on my Thrift Escape. She has a sharing circle on Sunday evening with Poshmark. And my understanding is with Poshmark that you want to it's more of sharing your listings as opposed to sharing other listings. That's apparently what kicks up the algorithm. I mean, I guess that's the key, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that much of a benefit sharing other people's listings. Only the hopes of them coming back to your closet and sharing your items is the only purpose for that, really. I've found that self-shares are really what drives the majority of sales on Poshmark.
Okay, that's what I had heard. I figured I would run it by the person that's doing it, so you get your input on it. Okay, just a couple other things. I was going to ask you about. Do you have any kind of special strategy as far as I know? You say you go to the bins, the Goodwill outlets. Do you also assuming you also shop local thrift stores and Goodwills and Salvation Armies, or do you do like 90% the bins, or how do you determine that?
Yeah, as far as the shoes, about 90% of my shoes come from the bins. But if I'm in the thrift store looking for other items, I'll definitely take a look at the shoes. I'm just more selective in there purchasing shoes because the cost is over double. So usually in the thrift store, I'm looking for clothing, like higher end clothing. For instance, I picked up here. I'll show you. the other day I was in the thrift store and I picked this brand up. It's Imogene and Willie, Imogene and Willie. It's just a women's denim jacket. Okay, I paid like $7 for this, but the only one I was able to find, there were no active listings on eBay, but I found the exact item on Poshmark sold used for $150.
Holy cow.
It's stuff like that I'm looking for in a thrift store. Like, for instance, this right here. I picked this up the other day. It was it's literally right next to this. It's a men's Carhartt FR coat, hardly worn at all. So FR is fire retardant. So I paid $7 for it as well, between $7 and $8 for it, and it should sell for about $80 pretty easily.
Nice. They're opening up a Carhartt outlet. They had never had one in this area. They're opening up one, like 5 minutes or maybe not even an outlet, a store. So I'm sure the full price. There's no deal with Carhartt. I mean, I'm sure they have outlets, but this is just a regular store. We have a higher end, outlet, mall, should say, not outlet. We're going to open up a Carhartt store. Okay, so we talked about your thrifting. We talked about your strategies, your platforms, and I guess we're getting a little late here. I don't want to keep you much longer. If you could just talk about the various YouTube shows you're on and your channel, and then also you can mention your Facebook group, and I'll put those links in the description after the show.
Okay, awesome. Well, before I do that, I'll just make a short announcement type deal. Okay, so here's kind of my way of thinking when it comes to eBay and when it comes to your inventory with eBay. My way of thinking is, look at it this way: like, if you go into a thrift store and you see all the items in there, like the day you walk in, you go through everything and you pick out what you want to buy, and then you leave. And then 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month later, you walk into the thrift store again, the same thrift store, but everything on the shelf is the very same. Just a few select items that are new. Okay. Eventually, at some point, you're going to just say, you know what? This thrift store is no longer worth me going into. So my point in that is, that's why I decrease my prices on a daily basis, because once it reaches a floor price of $13, I start sending it to auction, $11, $9, $7. If it doesn't sell then, I just take it down off of eBay and I redonate it. What I'm doing is I'm keeping my inventory in a rotation,
right?
And it just gets it doesn't allow for any inventory to get stale,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's just my thinking. That's why I use the system I do. Now that's out of the way. But guys, I'm on YouTube, Thrift Trader. I also have a Facebook group called eBay Sellers Anonymous. We are 6,600 members strong and growing. I'd love to have you guys there. And you can also find me on Instagram at thrift_trader.
That's tremendous.
And Adam, thank you very much for having me on the show today.
Thank you. And you're also on Fortunes of Reselling, correct? You're one of the panelists.
Yep, I am. I definitely am.
It's addition to the panel. And you guys have some really good content on that channel as well.
Yep. I think it's Scott, Shane, Chris. Well, it's Scott the Bearded Picker, Shane. What am I trying to say?
Rise and Grind.
Liquidation OH. Right. Liquidation OH is on there. Rise and Grind Pickers on there. And then, of course, Wade's Ventures.
Right. Wade graced us with an appearance last week on my channel. I was all excited. So I told Tiny to get a big time guest for Wade to show up on my channel. So I was just joking around. So anyway, I'd like to thank you for coming on, and short notice especially. And I figured let me bring the experts on, because, like I said, I'm learning like everyone else. And I like to have other people's opinions of the more advanced sellers, and pass it along to my viewers and myself as well. So again, as I like to tell everyone, I like to use, I'm going to borrow this from my friends Jason and Karin, Pro Sales, and just as Karin, good sales to you, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And like, subscribe, and share if you will. And that'll do it. And again, we'll be on next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Bye now.